Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. I'm Chris McGee, Robert Horry, James Worthy, Mike Bresnahan. We got Allie Clifton will be joining us a little later in the show. Mike Trudell will be handling the post-game interviews. The Lakers start the season 0-2. They are embarrassed at home by the Phoenix Suns. End of the first, the Lakers were up 3 points. Over the next 2 quarters, they're up 3 points. Great game, competitive. Over the next 2 quarters, they're outscored 71-41. They got down by as many as 32 points at home, Rob. In the paint, points in the paint, this is kind of a crazy stat, 52-26 in favor of the Suns. It was 48-12 after 3. Of course, Dwight and AD had a little altercation that we saw during that second quarter. We'll get into that a little later on in the show. And I'll say this, you open the season against 2 really good teams. There's no room for error, Rob. And the Lakers, offensively, defensively, just not looking cohesive yet. Where do you want to start?
You know, I want to start where, first of all, people are doubting this Phoenix Suns team. You know, they think it was a fluke that they were one of the best teams in the West. They're a good team. Chris Paul has taken his team to another level, and Devin Booker is one of the rising stars in this league. He's probably one of the second or third best shooter in this game. And if you look at the way the Lakers played tonight, they tried to match what the Phoenix Suns were doing. You take a 3, you make one, so I'm going to try to match that. And that's why you look at the score and you say, okay, what happened? We try to match the 3s, but you're not knocking down the 3s. And what they're doing, they're getting offensive rebounds. They're getting second shots. So the Lakers probably got like, what, 4 points of second shots or something like that. And so you have to get those extra shots when you're not knocking down 3s. And then also what hurt them also was when LeBron got his 3rd foul and he wasn't aggressive enough.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. The Suns, it's not by accident that you go to the NBA Finals and you have a 2-game lead. They also defend, great spacing. They can shoot. They have a nice bench. Big Game James, where do you want to begin with this Lakers team?
I mean, it's simple. The Lakers have a lot of work to do. I mean, obviously, we know they got new faces. They got to gel and do all this stuff. But to me, that has to happen for offensive coordination and continuity. Defensively, there's no excuse for this. And there's no excuse to be getting, outscored in the paint the way they have. Those are just basic effort things. Offensively, I can see where Westbrook might have some time to gel and all that, but they have yet to really finish their training camp, and it's showing up in these games. So, I think they'll figure it out. It's pretty ugly right now, and Coach Vogel said it's going to take some time. Got some players out, all that, but it's no excuse to play the defense the way they were outmaneuvered, outscored, Ayton in the paint, offensive rebounds, no resistance. So they're going to have to take a strong look in the mirror and say, okay, we know we had training camp and all that, but this is unacceptable to where we're playing at home on the defense.
And James, you are used to seeing the last 2 years where the defense was a top defense in the league. It was versatile. They were able to switch and do a lot of different things scheming-wise. I just don't know yet what this team's going to look like on that side of the ball.
Yeah, the points in the paint thing is really a stunner to me. I mean, it was really bad through 3 quarters. Lakers kind of turned it around late. But I have a couple questions. I mean, what do you do at center? DeAndre Jordan, 2 points, played only 10 minutes. Dwight Howard scoreless, did not play in the second half. Maybe, Frank Vogel says, all right, now's the time. AD, you're the starting center. Their next game is in San Antonio in a couple days. I'm not making moves for Frank, but, maybe it's time to put stuff on the table. And maybe it's time to kind of reconfigure the outlook of this team, the aura of this team. Also, got to talk about the words that were exchanged between AD and Dwight towards the end of the second quarter. Unfortunately for the Lakers, it was very public. It was on their bench. A lot of these things that I've covered over the years, it happens in the locker room, and it has to leak out a day or two later. This was very public, and this will be the headline. Lakers kind of internally uncomfortable, and also the score, their first 2 games, obviously not in their favor at all.
I mean, listen, we all know, everyone played sports, like, you hit it on the head. It's very public. I mean, I remember in college, wanting to fight your best friend during practice, right? I mean, you guys kind of laughed it off because you've seen it so many times when you're in an NBA locker room. But it happened, Rob, right there at the bench. Obviously, frustrations overflowing, right? AD struggling for most of this game. He did get it going a little bit late. Don't know what was said. Don't even want to guess, Rob, but obviously something.
No, we don't want to talk about it because right there, AD, and you see right there, they're still talking about it. AD's trying to explain his point, and Dwight Howard's like, yo, you probably said you didn't have to come at me like that, bro. But it's a certain way when you're trying to be a leader on a team and you're trying to show your dominance on a team, sometimes you get confused on how to do that. And a lot of times everybody's going to probably point the finger at Dwight Howard. But I think AD being the leader on his team, there's a certain way you handle things.
Yes.
And you sit down next to him and you talk to him in his ear, and you don't get him up and then you grab him. There's certain things because he's a grown man and you don't grab another grown man like that unless you in WWE or something like that, MMA. And I know this is frustrating for me because AD wasn't having the night he wanted to have. He shot poorly from the field, shot great from the free throw line, but poorly from the field. So we're not going to sit here and speculate because we don't know what was said, what was happening. But this is some things that just doesn't need to happen. They need to learn how to handle it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and as they were entering the half, it looked like they had chatted and talked. So don't go on Twitter and freak out and think the Lakers don't like each other and chemistry's bad. Yeah. Please don't panic like that. Allie and Rob do that before every single show. They're fine at the end of the day. But go ahead, James.
I was going to say the same thing, man. Sister-brother thing, boy, fighting like cats. I actually hope they have some more. I don't want to call it a confrontation or whatever. But I hope that they have a couple more of those where they can, get in each other's face and shake off the dust, and because it happens. It happens usually in the locker room. I would say AD, Dwight's an older guy. He's been around. He's not some young kid that you could just run up to.
Yeah.
Rob's right. You don't embarrass a veteran like that. You sit down and say, hey, dog, can we talk about something? So, yeah. But I do like to see that they care. And that they're starting to communicate, because it's frustrating what they're doing on the floor. So they're gonna have to figure it out. It's gonna take some honest conversation. And
listen, no one threw a towel in the coach's face.
A lot of looking in the window,
right, James? No one threw a towel in the coach's face.
Nothing's quite as exciting on the bench as that.
Yeah,
hey,
no doubt.
You should be happy. I came here.
Believe me, it's one of the greatest moments in Suns history when you threw the towel in Dan Dean's face.
Yeah, and you wonder if they talked about it already at halftime. Again, Dwight did not play in the second half. That surprised me a little bit.
They went small, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And maybe that is a little preview. AD at the 5. Maybe we will be seeing that sooner than later. Again, with this game in San Antonio in a couple days. Maybe Frank's like, all right, let's just see what it looks like. Yeah. And they played pretty well in that fourth quarter. Third quarter, though, not so well.
Yeah. Where do you guys see most of the struggles? I mean, listen, we can flip a coin, offense, defense, but when you watch that game, Rob, I think I was harping on defense. James talked a little about the offensive struggles. The first thing that pops into your mind?
I think them not scoring in the paint. That just bothered me because when you look at the Phoenix
Suns,
one thing
we dominated for the last couple of years.
You look at the Phoenix Suns, they got one big, and for you to sit there, I forget they got two bigs, JaVale. For JaVale, if I told you JaVale McGee would outplay all of the Lakers bigs, you would say I'm on something.
Right.
And that's what happened. If you saw the energy JaVale played with, it was way better than what the Lakers provided out of all three of their big men. And they need to find a way to score in the paint. Like I said earlier, they get so enthralled about his three-point shot that they just want to shoot threes. And the game is simple. Go inside first, inside out. And for me, for AD to not dominate against a Crowder who has 5 inches on, I have a problem with that. Crowder is a good defensive player, but AD, you're a great offensive player. And there's no way he should put you in a position where you're shooting 25% for a game.
Yeah. If I were to see a game like this one tonight, and I see how we had nothing in the paint, we got one guy that can dominate the paint, and that's AD. I mean, DeAndre and Dwight, they get their lobs, which I don't think they got any tonight. But after a game tonight, if I were AD, I would live in that paint. I would start my first 10 shots would be in that paint, and I would get it and go quick. I would get it and take my time, make some willing passes. That's where it is. Out there, 12 feet, you're trying to, go one-on-one after no movement, shooting fadeaway jumpers, and that's you don't get. To me, I just think he's the guy. He's our 5. Nobody else is our 5. Yeah. He's the guy that needs to go down in there, get damn nasty, and do it every night until the teams just can't take it anymore. We know he can go out there and do all this, 15, 17 feet, but when you see the way you're being punked in the paint, someone's got to take care of that.
Yeah.
And, and he's the guy that's got to do it. It's just simple. It's not difficult. It's very simple.
I always say narratives are built early in the year. People will love that the Lakers are 0-2, but Frank, that staff, the players, they have to understand this journey and where you're starting and where you hope to go, Rob. And they cannot kind of fraction, and you can't listen to those narratives because it's a big part of it.
I'm going to say something James loves to say. You got to black out all the outside noise because right now it's all about you. It's all about we. It's all about what we can do in this locker room, on this basketball court, to come together as a team and play great because they have the potential to play great. They have spurts where you look at this team like, wow. And then you have spurts where you look at the team and you go, wow. It's kind of, good and the bad and the ugly. But at the end of the day, they've all said this. They all said it's going to take some time for them to gel.
They did.
As Lakers fans, we're used to winning, and we don't want that. We want it now, because we're used to winning championships. So I'm not going to panic just yet. So I'm going to have a little patience.
I appreciate that.
I'm not going to panic.
And, Rob, I know you don't like this part when I talk about this over the years, but there is a silver lining. The Lakers just played the second choice and the third choice in the West, according to the Vegas odds makers. Here comes,
he doesn't like
Here comes the schedule. Okay, here comes the relief.
Press, give me the relief.
Their next 7 games are going to be against teams not expected to make the playoffs. In there, you got 2 games against Houston, 2 against OKC. You face a rebuilding and very young San Antonio team in a couple days. Cleveland, what are they? I mean, they're a mishmash.
Press, you telling me 7-3?
Well, it's possible.
If it's 3-7, there's a problem.
See, that's my point. Yeah, if we're playing like this against the Houston or an OKC, then it's a little trouble.
You heard Brett. So we're going 7-3, everybody. All right, Magic Johnson tweeting in.
Uh-oh.
Dwight Howard AD got into a physical altercation on the bench. In my 42 years of being associated with the Lakers organization, I've never seen something like that.
Not on the bench.
Not on the bench. That's exactly what Magic said.
Not on the bench.
Not on the bench. In the locker room, maybe.
Or in practice.
Yeah.
But not on the bench.
If this was an After Dark segment, I'd tell you one of my stories.
Our list lineup, without AD or a big. And, there's a lot a lot that goes into that style of play that we wanted to look at. And, obviously they made a run, so we let them rock.
Frank, we all saw what happened between Anthony and Dwight on the bench. We saw you get a technical. We saw Rondo get into it with the fan courtside. Were you disappointed with the team's sort of composure level on the whole tonight? And I guess, what do you think contributed to that?
I think there are 3 isolated situations. The fan slapped Rondo's hand. Like, that has nothing to do with our composure. Dwight and AD had a miscue on a coverage, and they talked it out. But, when you're getting your ass kicked, sometimes those conversations get heated. Those guys love each other. They talked it out, and that's going to happen from time to time. I'd rather our guys care, than not care. I got a tech because, reasons are obvious why I got a tech. Just leave it at that.
Hey, Frank. Through 2 games, you guys have been outscored by 38 points in the paint, compared to the other team. And I feel like that's a 2-sided issue where you guys aren't getting to the paint, but also the opponent is getting to the paint. What have you kind of seen with just the paint?
Yeah, we're a step slow on our coverages, and we're working to get our guys up to speed, but we're not there yet. I'm disappointed in that, and we'll be better. Offensively, we're learning about our team. You know what I mean? And what it's going to take and what it's going to require for us to be the necessary basket attacking team that I think we can be. And, each game that we play, I learn a little bit more. But we got to finish at the rim. Usually when you get hit going to the basket, the whistle blows. It didn't tonight. on a lot of those situations. Missed, I think, over 12 layups. So we got to finish better, and there's some things we can do to correct that and become a better paint attacking team.
Frank, on those incidents that you mentioned, all isolated but all pretty notable, and all on video in the time we live in. People will look at those a lot. They'll form an opinion about the state of this team. What do you think that those collectively say about where your team is kind of on its path?
Yeah, it says we want to be 2-0 and we're not. That's all it says. We got a good group of guys that like each other. Our process is really strong. And we got a good system on both sides of the ball. And we're going to have a hell of a season.
Check out the latest episode of our late show.
To talk about it either.
Oh yeah, we squashed it right then and there. We just had a disagreement about something that was on the floor. So we both very passionate about winning. We didn't want to lose this game, so we both were just, very passionate. We got it out the way. We grown men, things happen. But we already done talked, squashed it. There's no issues between me and him. And that's my brother. That's my teammate. That's what I told him. So I'm always be here for you, no matter what. I'm always fight for you. I'm gonna do whatever I can to help this team win. He said the same thing, so we're good. We squashed it. There's no need to try to make it bigger than something else.
Yeah, enjoyed it in that second quarter. A lot of fouls early. Was it defensive rotations, or what was some of the stuff?
We're just trying to get it together. This is our second game. Second real game. And we're gonna get it right. I know a lot of people count us out already. It's early. A lot of people laughing at us and joking, but we're gonna get this thing together. We know what's on the line, and we want to win. We're very passionate. We won number 18. So we're not gonna stop. We're gonna do whatever we can to get that.
Dwight, do you think that the incident with AD was a result of the frustration from losing the opener, the struggles in this game?
No, we were just upset about a play. We was upset about a play. We both had a disagreement, and we both just got into our feelings. And it happens. We're grown men. We're trying to figure things out, and it just looked bad. But other than that, we have no issues with each other, and I don't want nobody to try to make this into an issue between me and AD, or I'm trying to cause a problem with the team, because I'm not. Everybody on the team know what type of energy I bring every single night, regardless if I'm on the bench, if I'm on the court, whatever. I'm the same exact person. I'm never going to change. I'm going to always be up. I'm going to always push my teammates. I'm going to always be positive no matter what. I didn't even say nothing negative to him, that whole exchange, so it just may have looked like it, but that's my brother, and I'm not going to let nobody mess up our relationship.
Wait, when did you guys squash it? And
we already squashed it during the timeout. It's over with. It's over with.
And when you didn't play in the second half, did you see that?
It had nothing to do with it.
Just in general, it seemed like a really testy game. Stuff going on.
Yeah, it was. This is the team that put us out in the playoffs last year, so we was already agitated about that, that they beat us in the playoffs. And, it was like, man, not tonight. We can't let it happen. They beat us in the preseason. We like, nah. Tempers, everybody was upset, but that was just, we just got to control our emotions. And we're going to figure it out. We got 80 more games.
When we talk about controlling your emotions, they've also gotten arguments with the refs.
Yeah, everybody, even coach, said to us, he got to get better at controlling his emotions. He got a technical foul. He's running on the floor. So we all understand that we got to stay positive, but we also got to stay humble. Stay humble and stay hungry. We're gonna get what we need to get out of this season, but we got to stay humble, got to stay positive, and things are going to happen.
You took out of it from that moment, and kind of how you guys are dealing with it at this point, if at all.
We're good. It's two guys. We're very competitive. We just want to win games.
He said that it might have been just on the court, something defensive, whatever it was. Do you think there's anything with the level of frustration, or is it something you think is in the past at this point?
No, it's over with.
And then LeBron, just one question of the fourth quarter. Was there something you guys found going to the rim that hadn't been there this game plus the season opener that you saw, and anything else, just trying to find some of that cohesion?
Yeah, just trying to find a rhythm, really trying to play with pace. One thing in the fourth quarter we got stops. I mean, we gave up 21 points. A lot of those points was either threes because we were trapping or just free throws late in the game. So we got stops, which allowed us to get on and run. Russ was able to get a lot of defensive rebounds, push early, which he's really good at. And, we just got the ball moving, had a lot of space out there, and just playing kind of like carefree basketball, not really thinking too much, just kind of reacting.
AD, both you and Dwight said that you guys resolved it and, competitive guys, but seeing teammates, come together like that on the sideline, with a shove and all that, we're not used to seeing that very often. It's not something you see very often. Why should that not be looked at as a sign of, a fracture with the chemistry of this team?
I mean, y'all can look at it how y'all want to look at it. I mean, that's on y'all, but in-house, what we do in that locker room and what we say, we keep it to ourselves. And like I say, after the situation, happened, me and DH, we talked about it, and we left it at that.
Guys, I think the word maybe that got used most during training camp was patience, and that was going to, LeBron, you used it a lot with us. Is that an easier said than done thing, sitting here 0-2, not playing the way you have wanted, I think, for long enough stretches in these games?
Well, obviously, the name of the game is to win ball games. But there's a process along with building something to become the team that you want to become. And I know it firsthand. I know, the shortcomings that happens throughout when you're trying to build something special. And, it doesn't happen overnight. As much as you want it, you're going to get frustrated at times because you know what you're capable of. You know what the team can become capable of. But it just takes time, and we'll know when that time is. But right now, we got to just continue to push. Continue to stay positive, continue to push, continue to work our habits, continue to play good basketball for one another, and get on the board, get on the winning board. Obviously, that's the most one of the things that we want to do. But we're going to have games that we win, we should have lost. We're going to have games that we lost, that we should have won. But ultimately, I think if we continue to get better as the months go on, as the season go on, then we will be the team that we want to be.
AD, what was the nature of the defensive miscue that you and Dwight were trying to figure out, you guys were discussing?
Just a pick and roll scheme. That was it. Let's say me and him trying to figure, not just me and him, but all of us trying to figure out on the defensive end. And something happened. I was saying one thing, he was saying another on the scheme. And one thing led to another. And like I said, we talked about it, and we left it in the locker room at halftime.
In addition to what happened with you and Dwight, there was text tonight. There was a fan that got up in Rondo, and the emotions of this night. Do you think there's any reflection on how your team composes itself, or how you can handle emotions in high, intense games like this?
We got to do a better job of, not allowing calls that we feel like should have went our way stop us from what our goal is out on the floor. There were some very, very difficult calls that we felt like we should have went our way, but we allowed that to, combat 3, 4, 5 possessions in a row, and we started to lose control of the game because we were kind of too worried about what they were calling or whatnot. So I think that side of the emotion side kind of got to us tonight, and that's what happens when you're trying to get over the hump. You're trying to play perfect basketball or as close to perfect as possible, and one call here or one mistake here seems like it's the end of the world when it shouldn't be, but we'll get better with it. We have no choice but to get better with it.
Rashawn Haylock, KTLA 5 Sports. LeBron, a lot of frustration, obviously, but what is something that you can take away from tonight that the team improved on, that you guys got better at tonight?
I don't think it's a lot of frustration. I really don't. I think there's moments when you're frustrated because you want to be better. You want better communication. You don't want to turn the ball over. You don't want to give up a layup. You don't want to miss an assignment. But I think that's it can get overly blown when you lose a game and you have some text here and you see altercation and you start saying, okay, well, these guys are ultimately, the whole thing is frustration. And well, you know, we're competitors. If you don't get mad at certain things on the floor that you feel like should have done better, then what are you here for? So, you know, we like that as a ball club. We like the adversity. I like the adversity, and I like it even more when two men and a team can come together and talk about it and move on. I mean, that's what real men do. You don't let it linger. You say what you got to say, and you talk about it and you move on. That's what we did tonight.
Mike House.